All right. This is Brian Johnson, staff writer with Finance and Commerce, and I'm pleased to be joined by Mohammed Lawal, principal and co-founder of LSE Architects, an architecture, interior design, and planning firm based right here in Minneapolis. Mohammed, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great, Brian. Couldn't be better.
Great. Thanks for joining me. And I know you've got some exciting projects that you're working on, and we want to chat with you about that today. But I wonder if you could just start out by telling us a little bit more about LSE and how long you've been in business and the types of projects you do.
Well, LSE Architects, we actually that stands for Lawal Scott Erickson Architects. We started it in April of 2011. So right now we're in our 15th year, but we turned 14 in April of 2025. So I like to say we're in our 15th year. Uh, um, the line that I use a lot, oftentimes, Brian, is that we do everything from barbershops to overseeing construction of a billion-dollar stadium, in that we are one of the three local architects on US Bank Stadium. But the barber shops that we do, and one that's really well known is Houston White's barbershop, Houston White, and he started the Get Down Coffee Company and a real estate company in Camden Town. And so his small barbershop, I know a number of politicians have run their capital campaigns in his barbershop, and which is also a coffee shop, but a place to meet. And we do all projects of various sizes in between schools, housing, um, community centers, hospitality work, live venue entertainment projects across the country. So the founders were Quinn Scott. Him and I went to college together at the University of Minnesota, and Ron Erickson. We were the three co-founders, and right now we have four other principals that are part of our corporation that lead various sectors. So we feel really fortunate.
Yeah, and you have an office right on the north side, is that correct?
That is. So I believe it would be 3 years ago, 3 years this December. We do a considerable amount of work on the north side of Minneapolis with other areas in the city, but we wanted to put our people where in our office to be a part of the community and not apart from it. And those are, a part of. And so we moved our offices right over here on Glenwood, 1401 Glenwood, which is about 2 blocks from where I grew up as a kid, coincidentally, over
Hmm.
on 540 Humboldt Avenue North, which I think that home was torn down in 2022. So yeah, we'd be in our third year here at Glenwood. And so I'll tell you what's really neat about what we did when we did move in here too, Brian, is that we walked up and down Glenwood, starting at International Market Square, and met with the various business owners and establishments that are between International Market Square all the way to Udapils, and formed business relationships. So I'll say there's a auto repair shop. We met with the owner, talked with them, and they give our staff a discount to come and utilize their mechanic shop. For us, it's great because we're patronizing a local business. And then they go there and we talk. We met with the Udapils. There's Milda's. We on Fridays, if our team goes to Milda's, they get a 10% discount. Even iBob's, which is the building that we're in, each one of our staff members got a coupon to patronize iBob. So we have these reciprocal business relationships that I think help build community and also help support each other's businesses in the neighborhood. So it's pretty awesome kind of gig. So it goes beyond being an architect in the community. We are part of the neighborhood. So we, contribute to the not only right the style and vibe and what's going on, but the economic vitality in
And
a community.
yeah, and how many employees do you have there?
So right now we're at about a staff of we fluctuate between 45 to 50, but we've got a total team size of right about 50.
Great. And you mentioned growing up in the area. When you were growing up, did you always want to be an architect?
Oh, boy, I actually, I wanted to be an artist. I was really skilled at marking and drawing, fairly skilled artist that way. So that's what I wanted to be. But we moved to Nigeria in 1976, and um, my father thought I should have choose a vocation that supports my art. So I thought architecture sounded pretty good, and I really hadn't met an architect, so I kind of fell into it that way, and been pretty. I feel fortunate that that's happened, and but not. It wasn't my dream. It wasn't. This wasn't like, hey, this is what I want to be when I grow up.
But it worked out pretty well, I would say. How long were you in Nigeria and what brought you back here?
I was there for 9 years, so I was there from when I was age 9 to 18, and my father passed away, unfortunately, when I was 16, right when I was graduating from high school. So I did 2 years of college at a university there called Ahmadu Bello University in Zaria. And
Hmm.
then my younger sister decided when she graduated at 16 that she was going to come back to the United States to go to college, to go to medical school. So I said, well, we'll come together. And so we both came together and enrolled at the University of Minnesota, where we both graduated from. So that's what brought me back. And that was in 1985. So Minneapolis has been my home for a long time, Twin
And what,
Cities.
yeah, and where did you work right out of college?
Oh boy, right out of college, I went to go work in Baltimore at a firm called Design International. And we were working on projects in Jakarta, Indonesia. So that's where I was doing most of the projects I was doing were abroad, and then I came back to the Twin Cities and joined Cunningham Group. I think I was their number 22nd employee at the time, so that was a long time ago.
Hmm.
And then I went to KKE Architects where I met Ron Erickson. He was one of the founders of LSE Architects and worked with Ron for a very long time until we started LSE. So yeah, it's been great.
Yeah. And you mentioned some of the projects you've worked on, including US Bank Stadium. What do you remember about being part of that team?
Oh boy, the just being part of the team overseeing construction and the level of professionalism by the contractor Mortensen and working with John Hutchings from HKS and the team and the pace at which we had to perform and the just the amount of thoughtful pace with the construction, the level of quality and the level of professionalism. I mean, it was quite a chore. I think at one point in time, our primary person that was doing CA had to answer 26 RFIs a day
Hmm.
and or requests for information.
Hmm.
So it was quite a bit, and we still maintain the Revit model to today. Something else I remember, I think I was one of two of the architectural team that was authorized or trained that was supposed to go up on the roof to inspect the king joist, but I think my fear of heights and being up 295 feet, I did not. Let's just say I didn't go up there. I was. I also think our insurance company didn't want me to go up there, but yeah, that was
Yeah.
a pretty meaningful project for us as a company, you know.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, and it's hard to believe it's been almost 10 years now. Next year it'll be 10 years, I believe, since US Bank Stadium opened, which is kind of crazy to think that's that's I still think of it as a new stadium. It's almost 10
yeah,
years old now.
that's right.
But yeah, one of the meaningful projects you're working on now that we just talked about recently in Burnsville, Minnesota is the I believe they call it Big Hits.
Big
Big,
hits at the gateway.
yeah, pretty cool project. Multi-sport entertainment complex on a brownfield site.
Yep.
Tell me about that. I believe one of the milestones that we were talking about when we last talked was that you were hoping to go for a formal application to the city sometime this week. And is that correct? And kind of what where are you at with that now?
The formal application went in yesterday, Brian. So it's now in the city process with their planning department in Burnsville. And
Hmm.
we'll see. We'll start getting questions and comments from them and go through their process coming up. So that should be, we're looking forward to that. So,
Yeah, and that's in partnership, of course, with the property owner Michael McGowan and others. And tell me a little bit more about that project from a design and sustainability standpoint. It's quite an interesting reuse of a project there or a site, the former dump site that is really begging for a higher and better use. So tell me a little bit about that.
oh, absolutely. It's a 28 acre site just to the east of 35W there, Brian, overlooking the Minnesota Valley and the Black Dog bike trail. And you can take either the Black Dog or Cliff Road exit. If you've never been down to the current Chalet Golf, you have to go down there and golf. First of all, it's a great value. For $10, you'll get a giant, the largest size of balls. And so now if you go there and you start hitting, imagine being in a three-story, 100 bay golf driving range and being 35 feet in the air and what you see. I can tell you from going there and hitting, being 35 feet in the air, the sort of nature watching and views out are going to be spectacular and you're going to really be connected. So what's really cool about the site is its orientation for one. It's oriented north-south. So naturally, the way this golf and multi-sport facility is laid out, because it's not just golf, right? It's got pickleball, aqua volleyball, futsal in it. But the way it's laid out is such that it optimizes the north-south orientation. So the hitting bays are oriented to the northeast. And then the corporate event center is oriented to the south, and the pickleball is oriented north and south so that we can minimize. The building has a very small profile on the east and west face, so we don't have great temperature gain on the east and west face of the building. And so if you are also in the building, if you're moving from bay to bay or space to space, there's not great temperature differential. With the hitting bays oriented to the northeast, at least in the summer months, summer, fall, and spring months, you don't need you have minimal need for day artificial lighting because you can utilize most of the north facing lighting. Except in the evening, obviously, we'll have lighting that's located in the space. Um, the pickleball courts, since we have 8 indoor pickleball courts, it has a fairly large roof area and using the pickleball courts with their orientation so it's solar ready so we can have solar panels on the roof to harvest those. Now, if I take as the architect, I'm dealing with the above grade things because we have the owner has some great engineers that are dealing with the subsurface conditions and the capping of the land because I think my understanding is keeping it in place, the waste in place and capping it is one solution that is viable and best for the environment. But what we're doing above grade, if you will, is that we're taking the site and up to 28 acres, 10 acres of it will be natural plantings with the um, pollinator, bee and pollinator butterfly gardens which are also I would like to envision that they can do frisbee golf and it creates a little over a mile of biking and walking trails. But that mile, if you think of it as an extension of Black Dog biking trail, because currently it just kind of ends at the site and then you have to wave around U-Haul and uh, um, the car dealerships to catch on to the trail. So you can now link through the site. Um, and then in the parking lot, we have a little over 400 car parking lot. We're proposing reverse drainage swales, which is a good use of the site, even though you might prefer to plant trees, but planting trees would require creation of more cofferdams below grade, which would be so just using native plantings with reverse drainage swales is a better strategy. So that's what we're proposing. And that's kind of like if you go to Fort Snelling and you drive around their parking lot in Fort Snelling, where you go to the historic Fort Snelling. Yeah, you'll see the native plantings that grow up and they cover the trees. Excuse me, cover the cars, not the trees. They cover the cars and everything. And then we're saving all the existing trees, or I should say most of the trees that are on the southern and eastern edge of the site, so that it does still feel like you're in nature as you're golfing, dining, or at the convention space, or playing pickleball, futsal, or aqua volleyball, whatever it might be that you're doing. So it should be a pretty, we think, pretty neat project. I mean, the project in plan and in section kind of look like a golf swing. I'm not a big golfer. I did hit it 281 yards a couple of weeks ago, but I think that was lucky. And somebody says it might have been 281-yard drives, but the building in golf, there's when you're golfing, you have one swing on your backswing, and it's a different arc coming back to hit the ball. So if you look at the plan, it's two arcs kind of emulating a golf swing, and in section, the building is the same kind of golf swings coming down through and the arc up. So
Hmm.
we've kind of played with that in a subtle way in both plans, and it naturally works because the building itself, the way it shapes, is so that when you're in the farthest bay, if you're golfing in the evening, you don't get the sunlight in your eye and you're hitting away from, yeah. So it's, I think we think it's pretty neat looking project in terms of what we're doing.
Yeah, it sounds like a neat, well thought out project. And from what I understand, then this is one way where you could avoid having to dig up the site,
That's
uh,
right.
which is another strategy, I guess, for dealing with the pollution there.
That's
But
right.
um, and privately funded, 40 to
Privately
45 million dollar
funded.
project.
Yeah. I should say if I should say that the engineers have allowed an area around the edges of the site so that there can be testing wells that are put in to make sure that the site is doing what it's intended to do.
Mhm.
So there are lots of provisions that are in place.
Okay, great. One other project I wanted to ask you about that I believe you were recently awarded the Democracy Center project,
Yes.
out of Minnehaha Avenue in Minneapolis. What can you tell us about that? Are you excited to be part of that team?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I think that's a really a high honor for us. I mean, that one, first of all, there are very few um, voter centers, election voter service centers in the United States. So this would be one of the first handful of these. But we all know what the 3,000 Minnehaha meant to our community back in 2020, in May of 2020. And so to have the opportunity to work with the community and the city of Minneapolis on the transformation of 3,000 Minnehaha, which really represents us as a nation and our democracy, as an architect, is how do we do that? How do we create a space that talks about transparency, openness, and do it in a way that also creates safety and security for those that are going there to do their work every day. Um, what you might not know, or what you may know, is that in 2002, I was a Hubert Humphrey Policy Fellow. I think I was one of the first architects. I may have been the first architect to go through the Humphrey Policy Fellows program. So that was almost 23 years ago, and they're going to be celebrating their 35th anniversary of having policy fellows. So why is this important? Because as a policy fellow, we got to go to Washington, D.C., go to the U.S. Senate, Congress, got to go to the Supreme Court and learn about U.S. democracy and what it stands for, the three branches of government. I'm an architect, and now you're talking about policy matters as it relates to our democracy, free speech, and understanding that. That was really impactful to me. Most of the folks that are part of the policy program were either aides for state representatives, they were lawyers, things of that nature, people that are in policy space. So I got a group of, we had each did these group projects, and I did a group project with I got a group of lawyers to do a project which was a case for density back in 2002. And it was about regional planning and policies that impact place. So we were super excited to be selected for the Democracy Center and honored because it will be a chance for us to talk about policy and architecture together in a very impactful, meaningful place in our community. And I think it'll be a project that for many represents a lot of things. So how can we and what do we do as an architect to make that happen? So we've just started analyzing the building, trying to go through what damage may have occurred, understanding the structure and DNA of the building that's there. Um, Obviously, the city has done a lot of work, and so I don't have any plans to share about what it is apart from the fact that it's at its intersection, Brian, at Lake and Minnehaha. Um, it, it should be, yeah, we'll see what we can do. But I'm really hopeful about it. I know that the city has a large team on it. We're looking to make sure that there's community space in the building for enterprise, along as well as early voting. EVS, it's the yeah, I can't remember. I have to go back and remember the acronym. I have it down there. I'll go get it before we're done.
Okay. Well, that sounds like a very exciting project. So look forward to seeing seeing that come together.
Yep.
And what else are you working on these days? Would you like to put in a plug for any other projects? It
Yeah.
sounds like you're staying busy.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you some really, really neat projects locally and nationally that we're working on. So locally with the Democracy Center, adjacent to the Democracy Center, we're doing the Pangea World Theater. It's a 250 seat theater. Um, uh, and it's just about a block down, just south of the Minneapolis Democracy Center. And it's going to probably share some sustainable geothermal things. We're also working with the Lundstrom Center. They're in North Minneapolis, right off of West Broadway. We're designing a new 300 seat dance theater.
Mhm.
That's a pretty neat project. And then super exciting here still in town, we're working with V3 Sports on phase two. So this is now the enclosure where we're adding the 50-meter Olympic pool, you know, basketball courts, running track, recovery space, rooftop patios to view downtown. It's going to be a premier sports facility. And then for that project, for that phase, we teamed up with the national firm Moody Nolan, and they're going to be they're collaborating with the LSE Architects. And then we've just completed the facility master plan for the Hennepin County Downtown Central Library that was designed by Caesar Pelli in terms of what's the vision for that for the next 20 years. So that's been a really exciting project that we've done. Nationally, I'll tell you a couple really neat projects that we have going on, Brian.
Mhm.
We have a project for, it's called Citizens Live at the Wiley, which is a 4,500 seat live music venue with Live Nation in Pittsburgh. It's in the Lower Hill district, which is a pretty neat project. We're working with the Mandan Haditsa Arikara tribe. We've got a net zero high school and dormitory that's currently under construction. It's about $150 million project. The Mandan Haditsa Arikara, this is a school that's in Twin Buttes. It's the Twin Buttes High School. It's population 400 in the town. So
Mm,
just imagine this school, this Twin Buttes is literally oftentimes off grid. That's how far out it is. Uh,
mm,
I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about two projects locally. Hopefully this summer, the CPAC, the Community Performing Arts Center, which is an 8,500 seat outdoor live music venue, should start construction this summer. That's as part of the Upper Harbor development. That's a pretty neat project. I'll
mm-hmm,
talk about a couple smaller ones that we're doing that are big impact projects. We talk about from barbershop to $1 billion stadium. We're working on the Al Cemetery building. This is a project that we've been working on for 8 years. It's the largest, it's going to be the largest Islamic cemetery only in the state. It's in Castle Rock Township. So it's on 74 acres. So we're right now doing a 7,500 square foot funeral building. So it's a cemetery building and a prayer hall. A very small project with large impact. There are enough funeral plots to last close to 1,000 years. And so
mm.
that's a really, really impactful project in the Castle Rock Township. And then I just maybe mention we've got a number of housing projects, market rate. We're working with Rondo Community Land Trust on a 20-unit building. We've got a hospitality project in Lincoln, Nebraska that's on its third phase of $75 million. It's a casino, food venue, hospitality project. And then with the Leech Lake Band of Ojibwe, we had a community center that just broke ground. So yeah,
Mm.
we're really busy. Oh, we're working with the Bush Foundation on their new headquarters in St. Paul, and that's currently under. Yeah, so we've got. Yeah, we've been really fortunate, and we feel really fortunate. We've been really busy. Got a lot of work in the city, outside of the city, and in multiple states. So,
Yeah, and a wide range of project types too, from
yes,
you know, just must keep you must be interesting to work on so many different types of projects.
it's absolutely it is it's really invigorating, Brian. I mean, I can't tell you how fortunate how one day we go from talking about designing incubator office space for second phase entrepreneurs and what that looks like to designing a 12-acre homestead in Waterloo, Iowa,
Yeah.
to big hits at the Gateway in Burnsville. It's just a varied range. It keeps our staff on their toes. Or even, and things like, and I think that comes from being for us such a diverse practice that we have clients that come from all over that want to have dialogue at multiple levels and our ability to talk at multiple levels, whether it's about revenue, right? Your project performa, culture, at multiple levels, and we take it all in, and we try to really internalize and have very, very deep conversations with our clients about the impact of architecture on their business, on their staff, and their community,
Yeah.
and hopefully things turn out well.
They're very exciting. And I know
Mhm.
one thing that we talked about in the past is that you've done some mentoring work with young architects, including young architects of color. is that something that you still enjoy doing? Still,
Yep. So as a matter of fact, we have, I'm not sure what we call the program now. We have a program now where it's not quite the same as what we did before, but we have the Discovery program here. And we have a few, they're not interns, they're high school or college age students that are interested in architecture or the design arts, and they come in and they work in our office under an architect for about 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And then with the local high school, generally we do a May program. So where a high school student will come and work in our office for 3 weeks. So as an example, on the Mandan Haditsa Arikara High School in Twin Buttes, uh, Sarah Fang, she's at Yale. She's in the Yale School of Architecture now. She came and worked at our office and she did a bunch of research on the tribe for us and came up with an idea on the entrance lobby design in terms of incorporating their mother maze and their earthen lodge and how we could use it conceptually in the entrance. And
mm,
that's what we did. We have another high school kid. Before she went to college, her name is Emily Johnson. She's at Berkeley now. She has an internship in San Francisco, and she's in architecture. And she came here and she worked with us on a house addition. That was a pro bono project for a family where their child has a degenerative disease called PK disorder.
mm,
And so we figured out how to do an accessible addition to their main floor and make the entire main floor accessible so that Max can uh, commune with his brother and mother and family, grandparents. And the
mm,
city worked with us to get all the zoning things that were necessary. And so, but Emily Johnson worked on that. And so
mm.
we look for unique projects. So we do still do mentorship. I have a kid from Loyola Marymount University that's going to come here and spend Friday with us. Um, and then obviously as a firm, we go out and do outreach in the community and a lot of volunteer time.
Well,
So,
great.
yep.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, thank you for sharing those stories and chatting with us about your projects, and congratulations on your success, and wish you well with all your projects.
Thank you.
So it's
Thank you.
been nice chatting, and let's keep in touch.
Absolutely, Brian. No, it's when Teresa said, "Oh, it's Brian Johnson," she's like, "Oh, I don't know anything about." It. I said, "Oh, Brian Johnson's a great guy. He's reported on a number of projects. He's always been fair and we're always happy to dialogue and share. But I now that I'm talking to you about projects, Brian, I do, and we feel very fortunate to be a part of our community and to be hopefully contributing at a high level. So we're
Yeah.
thankful. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. It was
Okay.
great chatting with you, and have a good rest of your day.
All right. Thank you. And have a good, hopefully you're off tomorrow. It's Juneteenth.
All right. Yes.
Okay.
Happy Juneteenth. Happy.
Thank you.
We are
Bye.
off tomorrow, so we'll just relax and spend some time with the family, and hopefully you'll do the same.
I will. Thanks a lot, Brian.
Thank you. Take
All right.
care.
Bye.
Bye.